Well, the race isn't over yet.
You're Locked On Flames, your daily podcast on the Calgary Flames. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's episode of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new FanDuel customers can get $200 in bonus bets if your first $5 bet wins. I thought that we would kind of break down last night's game in terms of difference makers and take a look at the numbers, and of course, chat about this upcoming quick little weekend trip to Vegas before the Flames truly head down the final stretch of 5-6 games. So make sure you subscribe to Locked On Flames wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We are here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And let's dive right into this because wow. What a night. It was a very big night for the fourth line, I would say. Adam Klapka had a breakaway, but he came like this close to scoring, and I thought that he looked great. I think he's looked a lot stronger of a hockey player within the last week or so. I think that for whatever reason, he's kind of taken that next step. And I hope that this isn't something that's just like a flash in the pan sort of deal. I hope we get to see more of it, through the rest of the season and maybe next year. Kevin Rooney scored as well. I thought that was kind of, 18 games without a goal. That's a pretty long time. That's almost a quarter of the season. And here he is scoring against the Anaheim Ducks. But in all seriousness, I do think that people underestimate and gloss over the fact that the fourth line has been one of the better lines in terms of like defensive skill. Last month or so, or since the Four Nations break, really. And it's not, fourth lines have changed. Their role isn't to go out there and just be big men. They the fourth lines are actually, and they're not out there to be like overly productive either, but they're out there to play defense. They're not out there to just do 8 minutes of cardio a night. I think back to the 2020, the bubble season, when the fourth line was like Lucic, Trevor Lewis, and one of the Ritchie brothers. It was a line. It was 3 bodies. And, I'm pretty sure Trevor Lewis is the only one still playing in the NHL, but that's not the point. Even just over the last 5 years, that role has shifted. There's a lot more responsibility put on the fourth line in terms of, playing a good defensive game. And if you can go out there and create offensive chances for yourself, then go ahead and do it. But I mean, you can't expect first line behavior from your fourth line. It's silly. Especially, even if you are a deep team, I don't think you should be looking to them for your offense. But speaking of more offense, Blake Goldman had 2 goals. The Texas Tiger had one, a gorgeous shorthanded goal, and another one towards the end of the game. And wow, he looked fantastic. We need this level from him more, through the rest of the season if the Flames think that they're going to catch the Wild in the wild card chase. I think that it is absolutely imperative that you're getting 100% from all of your players across the board. And Blake Coleman he plays great hockey. We know this. We've seen it over the last few years, and sure, he's not necessarily a 30 goal scorer or anything like that, but he goes out there and He will score. He will block as many shots as you need him to. And I think that that's one of the underrated aspects to his game, because he'll go out there and he's not afraid to jump in front of a puck or to make sure that, a player's covered in a little bit of a risky way or something like that. Like he is out on the ice and he will leave it all out on the ice. The special teams have been great. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later, but to have a power play goal and then the penalty kill has been really good these last 3 or 4 games. So hopefully that is something that can continue and carry through maybe the rest of the season and then some, or even if it's just through April 17th, like I will take it. I'm not going to sit here and nitpick every little detail, because this season was a work in progress and next season will continue to be a work in progress. And I said it going into the year, the penalty kill was going to humble us, and for 95% of the season it did. But they have stepped up big recently, so kudos to them. I'm very glad, very happy for them. It's a tall task. It is a very tall task for this team and the personnel versus, like typically what you're going up against on a team's power play. But overall, I just, Kadri scored as well. And it feels silly naming him as a difference maker because he does it every game. So it kind of goes without saying that he deserves a spot, like just like a permanent spot, like the Hollywood Walk of Fame, the Difference Makers Walk of Fame or something. I don't know. I'll get creative with it. But coming up next, we are going to talk about the game, breaking it down by the numbers, and just kind of talking about what to expect from the Flames as they head to daylight savings has snuck up on us once again, and I am still feeling it. And that last hour of sleep has been impossible to catch up on, and 5-hour energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you just need a little extra boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late to watch the Flames or squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5-hour energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. Whether I'm at a game, traveling, or 5-hour energy is easy to grab and keep me feeling refreshed. Head to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, peach, mango, and more. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack and have it delivered right to your door. Need one now? Grab a 5-hour energy shot at your local grocery or convenience store. They're everywhere. Stock up today and get energized. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. We're here for you Monday through Friday, 5 days a week, your Calgary Flames every day. And let's talk about these numbers. Now, I'm not a numbers gal, okay? Numbers kind of freak me out. I'm not a math person. Don't ask me to calculate anything beyond like long division. I'm not doing it. I can't. I'll start crying. But the one thing that I do love about the Flames is that they give me easy numbers to break down. And they are not a very offensively driven team, which we know. But I do have to say the fact that they were 60% on the faceoff dot last night might be a little bit of a concern for not the Flames, but the Ducks, because I mean you're in your like 7th year of a rebuild, and goes without saying that you should be doing a little bit better against one of the worst face-off teams when it comes to face-offs. But they need 5 points. to tie with the Wild for that wild card spot. And they need the Wild to slip. The Flames have a game in hand, and they have to capitalize on this momentum. It would be a grave mistake if they walk into Vegas and fully expect to just, to walk in and win. I mean, the Jets steamrolled them the other night. So, I mean, hey, not anyone can do it. The Jets are a fantastic team, but, they have to continue to play hard. They have to look like a competitive hockey team. But let's talk about Dustin Wolf. Speaking of competitive and keeping this team in things, he had a .963 save percentage last night, and that is a difference maker in terms of his last few performances. He has, lost a little bit, but he rebounded last night, obviously, and I think that, again, it's all about building confidence and building that back up. So I really hope that they're just able to capitalize on this for the rest of the weekend and really the rest of the season. And we know that Dustin Wolf has carried this team through most of the season, if not all of the season. So, I mean, can we maybe just get a little bit more? Just a little bit? I mean, is it really is it too much to ask? It probably is. He's a rookie, for goodness sake. This is the most intense workload of his career so far. And here we are, begging for him to do this his rookie year, so the Flames could squeak in and probably get eliminated in the first round. I love this. I love how this is starting for him. But in all seriousness, I do think that Dustin Wolf has stood tall all season, truly, and really not only helped the team not be a basement dwelling team, but kind of redeemed this narrative of him being too small to play in the NHL. He played a small sample size last year, and they were very I don't want to say extenuating circumstances, but he wasn't set up to necessarily have a consistent workload or know when it was going to happen. So the adjustment between going from the AHL to the NHL and back and forth for as long as he did last season, I don't think that it really was fair to just kind of write him off as soon as that happened. And this feels like the first game in a while where it didn't feel like he was being outworked. Dustin Wolf works very hard, and it is evident. You can see that in his athleticism. You can see it in his technique and just the way he plays the net and plays the position. But it felt like it was the first game where maybe it was because it was the Ducks, but it felt like the first game where I don't want to say he could breathe easier or he could kind of take his foot off the gas, but I think that he was able to play a little bit more relaxed, I guess, is what you could say. 11 in a row. St. Louis has won 11 in a row and have the top wildcard spot now with 91 points. Bananas. They have not gone on this kind of run since the 2018-2019 season. And you know what they did that year? They won the Stanley Cup. So let's just keep watching and see what happens, I guess, because I mean, anything can truly happen. OV is probably about to break the record in like any second now, but if there's one thing we've learned in hockey, it is to expect the unexpected, but also be okay with the expected. I just am I'm content with how the game went last night against the Ducks. The Flames only had 4 penalty minutes, which I mean, like, all things considered, because I think it's easy to get caught up in the emotion of things. You lose a few in a row, your playoff dreams are slipping further and further away. So, emotions get high, but they played a pretty disciplined game. They played a good defensive game. That's really all you can ask for. And I do find it, pretty interesting that Jonathan Huberdeau has not scored, which means he has to score two. He needs to score 2 or 3 more goals. That's it. That's all I'm asking of him. That's it. That's all I want. I want him to hit 30 goals. Maybe it's selfish, but I also don't know if he hits it. I don't think he would have the same amount of points as he did last year. And that's another cause for concern because it's still a decrease in production. And, that's just going to be the constant conversation around Jonathan Huberdeau, I think, for the remainder of his career, at least with Calgary, because the biggest drop off in points history, and he's just continuing. But is it bad to say that I don't want to say I don't care, but I'm less concerned by it because of the uptick in scoring. I don't know if that's the right take to have, but for me, I don't necessarily yeah, it is a little bit concerning that your $10.5 million a year player can't crack 60 points, but he can score 30 goals. And that's it feels like you're not winning that conversation regardless of what side you're on. More so if you're okay with him scoring 30 goals. But coming up next, we're going to wrap up the show with a quick trip to Vegas and previewing the game against the Vegas Golden Knights here on Locked On Flames. The NCAA tournament is here, and FanDuel is giving you the chance to get in on the action like never before. Right now, new customers can get $200 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. That's 200 extra bucks to use on everything from buzzer beaters to Cinderella stories and even who is cutting down the nets. With tournament games happening almost every day, there's always something exciting to bet on. So visit FanDuel.com and get in on the college hoops action all tournament long. Thanks everyone for hanging out with me today on Locked On Flames. Make sure you're following me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Jess Belmosto. So the Flames are heading to Vegas. They have a quick little 2-game road trip before they finish up their season at home and then hit the road one more time. And they're going to Vegas first. I would say, as I mentioned earlier, the Jets just crushed Vegas for nothing. And Bruce Cassidy, head coach of the Vegas Golden Knights, isn't happy with how his team is performing. And he didn't just call that performance a one-off thing. He said this whole week they've been playing poorly. And I think the Flames have sort of an advantage going for them right now because a lot of teams come into a game against Calgary thinking, okay, this is an automatic win. We can just kind of coast and do our thing. Their 100% doesn't even match our 80%. But Vegas is likely winding down their best players, right? We see this come the postseason, right? As it gets closer and closer. Oh, this one's out with an undisclosed injury, lower body injury. And really it's just a bruise. It's nothing serious. But I do think that the Flames, we've talked about it a lot on this show, especially this season. This team is driven by spite and proving people wrong. And I think that if the Flames could come out hot and shut Vegas down, they will continue and carry this momentum over and potentially make the playoffs. I don't want to say, they'll make the playoffs if they win tomorrow night. but I do think that the odds are a little more likely. I think it's hard for really anyone to say I understand why people have counted the Flames out. I do. We are all watching the same team. We see it. The lack of consistent scoring, the lack of solid, consistent defense. It's not always, not always generating high volume and dangerous chance shots and shots that'll actually land on goal and things like that. So when they're going up against a very competitive team like Vegas, it's so easy to feel defeated. I mean, I do. I saw this on the schedule and said, okay, that's that. We can just go to bed early that night. No, I'm just kidding. But I do think that this is an opportunity for the Flames to take advantage of a tired team that has not played well, that is probably winding down before they start their playoff run. They're probably not going to be playing at 100%. The Flames can find ways to manipulate and take advantage of those weaknesses. We've seen it. We've seen them do it to teams before. And my hope is that by the time they play the Wild, the gap has further closed. So that way they don't get eliminated when they lose to the Wild at home next week. I don't know if that's actually a game that would count, like that would eliminate them. I'm just saying as a rough idea, but it'd be pretty embarrassing. I look back on a lot of games this season and think, wow, if you could have just saved one more puck, or wow, if you just shot that instead of passing it, you could have, gone. You could have the second wild card spot. And unfortunately, that's just not the case. And it stinks that the Flames have to continue to play like Monday morning quarterback through game 82 for every single game this season. But we also have to remember that this was not expected. We should be doing like tankathon, like draft simulations, talking about who the Flames will pick 4th overall, like the opposite of the conversations that we're having. And would it be cool if the Flames, did end up getting another high-end draft pick? I mean, look at Zane Parekh, for goodness sake. He had a fantastic year in the OHL. And I mean, hey, could see some time with the Flames before we know it. But you need those high-end draft picks to compete and to win. And hopefully, the Flames will find themselves in that position again. Again, if it wasn't for Dustin Wolf, very similar to, Jacob Markstrom's good goaltending, it kind of costs the Flames, or it prevented the Flames from trickling down in the standings. So thank you, Dustin Wolf. But in all seriousness, Dustin Wolf's rookie season will be talked about forever. It is one for the history books. I can't wait, 10, 20 years from now, telling, I don't know, my kids, someone's kids, about Dustin Wolf and how incredible he was, his rookie year and what he did for the franchise. Hopefully help lead a Stanley Cup back to Calgary. But let's not get too ahead of ourselves. But that'll do it for me here on this week's episodes of Locked On Flames. As always, I am your host, Jess Belmosto, and thank you so much for joining me. Make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts, as well as YouTube. You can follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at Jess Belmosto. And I will be back on Monday, gearing up for the final few games of the NHL season.